Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League here on iRacing, presented for you tonight by NextBookIt. Always great to have you guys alongside of us. And alongside me in the booth is Josh Crane, who's joined me for three of the three first rounds. And tonight, round 4 here at Road America. Josh, how excited are you for tonight?
I'm very excited. I think almost as excited as some of our drivers. We've been having a lot of chatter in the Discord, having a lot in the lobby right now, and we're getting ready to go. It's good to be here. We like this track. I think this is one of iRacing's most popular road courses, and it shows in the lap times these guys are putting down, what we've seen in practice, what we've seen in qualifying. Right now, qualifying underway. The pole sitting lap time 2 minutes 1 second, 0.837. And also noting that position 2 and 3 are separated by half a tenth of a second. Going to have about 30 cars tonight, and we can throw the top 10 under a blanket. The times are really close. This is going to be a fun track. The guys know it well. We're going to have a lot of comfortable drivers tonight. That's going to mean we're going to have a lot of fast drivers. So I'm very excited, Jarrett, and excited here to hang out in the booth with you.
Absolutely. So you see a very hot track here tonight. In addition, that 50 degrees Celsius currently on the track, 26 degrees in the air. We expect the temperature to go up a little bit as it is going to start at about noon time in the simulator here tonight. So expect that temperature to rise. The track will get a little bit more slick as the night goes on. And as those tires start to wear, it's going to be interesting to see. We heard the drivers talk. Are they going to change tires during the pit stop or are they not? Here in the Collegiate iRacing League, we are 75% of a fuel load, similar to what iRacing models in an IMSA series, in their official racing series. So the drivers will be required to make one pit stop for fuel. Drivers can choose to take or not take those tires, however, and we'll see varying strategies here throughout the night.
That's it. Strategy is going to be key. We heard talks of an undercut. We heard talks of waiting till the leaders come into pit. There's all sorts of ways to slice it up, and I think we're going to see most of them here tonight, especially spread across the field that we have. So we'll see. It's a quick pit entry at Road America. You come off the final corner, dart over to the right, up the hill. You have to miss the bump on the left, and then get it slowed down from about the 140 that these guys will be coming into miles an hour, and get it down to about 40 or 50 miles an hour. That's that pit road speed limit. So certainly going to be a bit of display from these guys. And with 30 cars, we're going to have to share the pit lane a lot. There's going to be guys trying the same strategy and making sure that we all get on and off pit road safely, in and out of our pit boxes. And Jarrett, you said, taking tires, taking fuel. Everybody will probably be starting with a full tank so they can minimize the time spent in the pits. And then do they think that they're going to make up the time on tires? Traditionally, we don't see a lot of tires here, but we don't know. That could change. Somebody could try something a little bit different, especially if you have a tough first lap and you need to fix some damage and you can take tires concurrently with that. Then that can be an option. Some drivers might opt to take that faster pair that they have in the iRacing simulation. They do have one faster pair that they can use, and that'll set their car back up normally as they started with the race, because sometimes life happens. So I think we're going to see a lot of driving from these guys. Definitely some mind games. We've already heard talks of even in the first race when it came down to pit strategy between for the race winner. So for second and third place. So I think we're going to see a lot of fun stuff tonight. Certainly a lot of action on track, all around the track.
Absolutely. And all of this fun is sponsored tonight by NextBookIt. We're going to hear from them here momentarily, and then we're going to bring you right back to the racing action. So let's turn it over to the good folks from NextBookIt.
For college students, books are expensive. Buying and selling them is frustrating, and it even hurts. We get it, but there's a better way that doesn't have to feel like this. With NextBookIt, skip the bookstores and buy and sell books exclusively to other students on any campus. It's easy to use and it makes life less stressful. Buying and selling books just got easier. Just NextBookIt.
So as you just saw right there, NextBookIt is the next big thing for college students. It's a marketplace where you can buy and sell textbooks to and from other students from campuses all around the country. As an extra incentive to sell your books for a limited time, NextBookIt is offering $10 on top of what you make in your first book sale. And who doesn't love that free money? That $10 can go toward a new track, a new car here in iRacing. It's got to love that $10. In addition to that, use the code SAVECASH20, that's SAVE cash 20 for free shipping and no fees. What are you waiting for? Next Book It this fall.
Yeah, big thanks to NextBookIt for hopping on board with us this season. They've been great. We had founder Derek McCurry in the booth at Monza and heard a little bit about his story, a little bit about how he got into racing and how he came to be part of and found NextBookIt and uh, cool all around. And they did go officially live recently and have a really cool site. It's pretty good to navigate and has a lot of resources there. So certainly check them out. Also, big thanks to NextBookIt for providing the scholarship fund here in CIL, where a number of drivers have been able to knock down that cost barrier that comes with getting cars and tracks and times and subscribing. Those familiar with iRacing's pricing model will know that that's awesome what NextBookIt has been able to do, as well as the purse and payouts, spread throughout the field, not just the podium. So, fantastic partner NextBookIt, and we're looking forward to putting on a show for them here this evening.
Absolutely. And like Josh talked about, NextBookIt providing a little bit of a paycheck for some of these guys week in, week out. We have the scholarship ability that they've offered us, and we also have race winning. So these drivers not only going for just a fun little drive here, but there is money on the line. And not only is it for that top 10 finishing drivers, we have 31, 32, somewhere around there here tonight. You also have a hard charger award, and that's the driver who's going to complete the most passes throughout the night. So really anyone is kind of in the money here tonight, which makes it all the more fun. And all you guys tuning in for the first time, you're in for a treat here at Road America.
Absolutely. We've got a variety of drivers and driving styles. We've got a variety of schools and mascots and conferences. And we're going to bring it all to you here. Coming up, looks like there's about 2 minutes left in qualifying. And then these drivers will roll their cars out to the grid, get set up, put the final setup on, since they'll be on their qualifying setup right now, all the fuel out of the car. Um, and then we'll get ready to go racing here, and we'll dive off into turn one.
Absolutely. And you see the gap there on your screen right now, just how tight it is amongst not only those top five, but really all the way down. Just a couple tenths of a second separating each driver. So not only is this driver going to be racing really for the lead, but you're going to be racing each of those guys right around you, and everyone kind of having a partner to dance with here tonight, looking at these scoring sheets. So it should be a very good race. A lot of door-to-door action. And Road America provides a lot of these long straightaways. You think off of that final corner. We think off of turn two. A lot of these long straightaways going to provide that drafting opportunity that we've seen over the course. We saw at Le Mans, the Ford really excelling in those areas. And we might see some other cars really make their way through those straightaways.
Well, that's correct. And we talk every week about the variety of car here. And Road America plays very well because the first sector is all about speed. You dive down the front straight and it's a drag race. And then you make two quick rights and then you go down another very long straightaway. And that concludes the first sector. And then you get into the final sectors that are a little bit more twisty. Sector 2, a little bit slower speed, and they're very high speed. Sector 3. And that's going to play to different cars. We talk about the Porsche is a lightweight car. It's going to enjoy those transitions. We talk about the Ford is going to enjoy the draft. We know the BMW has had a lot of horsepower this season. And so as it looks like we are taking the drivers to the grid, let's give you that rundown.
So starting off on the pole tonight from WPI is going to be Alexander Klink with a lap time of 2:01.837, and that is a blistering pace. If you've ever run a couple laps at Road America, on his outside is going to be John D. Price in the number 10 machine. Rolling off third is going to be Kevin Vu. He's in the 54. Jared Kaler in the 58 starts fourth. Carter Cuttinger in the 02 starts 5th from Trine University, and Aaron Folkerts in the 732 rolls off 6th. Drew Bowen from Western Michigan starts 7th, and Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State starts 8th. Will Krehor from VCU will roll off 9th here tonight on his outside. Corey Hyatt from the Colorado School of Mines. Cohen Evans from IUPUI starts in 11th, and from UMass Lowell, William Ashworth in 12th. Henry Morse from UC Berkeley rolls off 13th. Abel Osorio Morales from Missouri at Columbia starts 14th. Maximilian Bui from USC rolling off 15th in the 665. And Christian DeAndrea rolls off 16th. Carl Lemcool, rolls off 17th, and Alejandro Diaz rolls off 18th. Alexandre Pacini rolls off 19th, and Logan Senhauser in 20th. Rolling off 21st is Sam Roshlansky from Wisconsin, and Gavin Keithley on his outside from Minnesota. Andrew Covell starts 23rd, Tillman Schmid in 24th, Benjamin Paccio in 25th, James Blausch in 26th, Keegan Smith in 27th, Justin Jang 28th. Starting 29th will be Esteban Moonrose, Paul Kim in 30th, Zachary Yarnigan in 32nd, and 33rd rounding out your field is Cody Fadenhauer from VCU. So well on to our pace lap here as we get set to rock and roll from here at Road America. That short pace lap, you see the lights at the top of your screen. We're going to get set to go, and it looks like they are already rolling here at Road America, and we are underway for round 4 of the Collegiate iRacing League.
That is correct. Down we go into turn 1. Looks like everybody survived so far. Cohen Evans, that IUPUI car, getting a little bit close. I believe that's Will Krehor in the yellow Corvette you see there. And it looks like everybody's going to go down 2 now, down side by side. And we're all braking single file, double file. We go on, we get to breathe on the long backstretch here. You see that Arlington car second behind Alexander Klank from WPI.
So Clank off to a very good start. John D. Price right behind him. And Kevin Vu, he's a winner here in the Collegiate iRacing League. He's back in that Chevrolet Corvette. He's trying to make his way toward the front of the field.
That's correct. We've got a good mix here today. Some more Ferraris, a little bit of brake smoke mixed with track dust. First lap, got to get all the sediment off. It's a pretty green track this evening. We're going to go side by side now. Ferrari, and that looks like Henry Morse or Cohen Evans, the 732 Corvette, going through the side there. And Western Michigan machine of Drew Bowen right behind, just looking for a way through as they go around side by side through the carousel. Let's see who goes and makes it first to the kink.
The carousel, one of the more difficult corners here at Road America. So much time can be gained and lost off the end of that corner and into the kink where it's a very high-speed corner. Don't want to touch the grass right there as these cars do not have traction control like their GT3 counterparts. So keep that in mind if you see a car touch the grass as you ride on board here into final couple corners. Bowden going side by side right here.
That is correct, and we keep going through. Looks like we will come up on our first lap completed. Ferrari, Corvette fighting hard into that final right-hander as we rejoin the leader coming up the hill. Alexander Plank starting to put a little bit of space between him and the rest of the field, about a second now.
You're going to watch the lap times roll in on the left side of your screen. The purple lap time standing for the fastest lap time of the race. The 2:07 right there for your leader, Alexander Klank. Right behind him, John D. Price and Kevin Vu trying to work together. Someone also not afraid of the front of the pack, Jared Kaler, back there in 4th in that UNC Charlotte machine.
That's correct. Jared Kaler been a staple up to this point in the season, a win under his belt for the UNC Charlotte School. We go back to the field, we see two Ford GTs. We talked about their drafting ability. How will they play together? Corey Hyatt, and it looks like the St. Louis University machine pulling out side by side now as they try to negotiate with each other going into turn 3.
Looks like Hyatt's going to give a little bit of ground right there, but you see right there a little bit of internet issue between the two of those drivers. The 95 gets a little bit on the grass, and that Ford GT gets a little bit loose right there. You see a little bit of slip in action. And Esteban Munros, let's go back and look at what just happened to him, as he had a little bit of trouble heading into that high-speed left-hander.
Well, it's not hard to do, and it looks like there was some collateral there. You just get in, you go so deep on the brakes. In fact, 3 cars involved, and very tough as you try and get in. You see the light flash there, trying to warn guys that, hey, I'm in trouble. You shouldn't be seeing my headlights this way. So looks like the rest of the cars make it through there, and we rejoin this battle. You see, like Corey Hyatt, that slip allowed him through, and it looks like he is on his way forward now.
Josh had mentioned wide variety of manufacturers here tonight. Each driver is not locked into a specific manufacturer, so drivers can pick and choose which car at which track. You see 2 Porsches, 1-2, here to start the race, 3 laps in. Kevin Vu, Jerry Kaler, and Aaron Folkerts, 3, 4, 5. They're all in the Chevrolet.
That is correct, and we have seen some cars come and go this season, especially this evening. Some drivers trying out some new rides through that halfway point, but someone who has stayed true to his colors the entire time is that P2. That is the Porsche RSR of the Texas at Arlington crew. John Price, and again, a win to his name earlier in the season, and he is chasing down Alexander Klink now in a super fast car. And Jarrett, we were watching his times in practice, and we're not quite sure how he was doing that.
Absolutely, and it's just amazing to see some of these drivers. Josh and I actually got the opportunity last week to get on the track with a couple of these guys, and we were just in awe of the ability of these guys to manipulate their race cars in such a way to complete these lap times that seemed almost alien to us.
Yeah, it certainly did. I'm looking here that Abel Osorio and his Porsche has a little bit of wing damage. Not sure how that got there, but that will affect his car there, especially his downforce as he tries to make that tough turn 3. And you can see there on the right side and the rear bumper, a little bit of deformed carbon fiber. That'll come in, but eventually he'll be able to take that fast repair that we talked about at the top of the hour, and he'll be able to get that car back set straight.
So you see right behind him, Justin Jang, his first race here tonight in the Collegiate iRacing League. And it looks like Zachary Yarnigan, a little bit of trouble for him right there. Let's go back and see what happened to Yarnigan there in the Porsche. Fast on the curbs, just locks it up in a little bit too hot. Yarnigan from Northeastern University getting back on the track right there. And we flash you back live back to Osorio Morales with Justin Jang right behind him. And as we were talking about, Justin Jang, his first race in the CIL here tonight, and the Cal Poly San Luis car up to 21st, trying to make his way toward the front of the pack.
That's right, Ben Pacheco hopping in for this round, and he's making his way around Road America pretty well. You can see a bright standout car. My favorite part of that bright green car, got avocado, just the emoji across the windshield. Not sure if they're paying for that, but I'm a big fan either way.
Back to your leader, Alexander Klink, as he heads down that long straightaway. You see in that rear view camera, John D. Price trying to close on in. Kevin Vu helping out, Jared Kaler right behind him, and Carter Cuttinger back there in the 02 car. A little side-by-side action right here between him and Aaron Folkerts. Folkerts in that white and blue car, going to sneak by on the inside, and Cuttinger in that red Ferrari has to give a little ground right there, giving the position, trying to survive to see another day. And you see just how those back ends of those cars kick on out. Everybody pushing the car for everything it's got.
Well, that's correct, and the tires are going to be cold. You want to set your car up a little bit loose so that when the tires warm up, the car gets hot. It'll do what you want, but right now we're going to see those back ends step out. We're going to see a few blades of grass popping up. We did see back there a similar battle as we have a car off here. That looks to be one of our 4 GT drivers, and now he'll rejoin. Looks like everyone gets by safely. But I was going to say that Drew Bowen was under attack from Henry Morse behind, and it looks like he still is as they go down now into Canada corner, chasing Cohen Evans in that IUPUI machine.
So starting to get to our single file portion of the race, and we usually will get this every week, week in and week out. Everyone just starts to settle on down and start to run your race. You'll start to see these lap times drift closer and closer to those qualifying lap times. Obviously, the qualifying lap times will be a little bit faster in that all the cars have less fuel, you're on fresh tires, you're not racing other cars, and you'll see that creep further and further towards those 202 marks. And you see actually right there John D. Price with a 202.9. That car's starting to get very quick. If you see a green lap time, that is that driver's fastest lap. Drew Bowen, one of those drivers in the Western Michigan car, setting his fastest lap here tonight.
Yeah, it's a good time to be. It's a fun part of a race where it's just started, you get settled out. Drew Bowen now, he's on a mission to get out of Dodge. You can see Henry Morse closing up right there in that 44 machine. And it looks like he's going to have a draft, and we'll see what he decides to do going into turn 3. He's still in line. He's thinking about it. He's sizing him up. He does look a little bit far back, and it doesn't look like he's going to go for the lunge. Looks like everybody's going to go through turn 3 a little bit wide from Drew. And will we try to go in the second sector? How will Morse make this pass?
Tries to get that inside quarter panel, both in the Chevrolet Corvette. That car is relatively new to iRacing. And in the grass, Bowen toward that inside retaining wall, and he's going to have a hard lick right there that we just saw. Going to try and get it back on track here. He might actually take that thing to pit road. As you see all the drivers trying to avoid him. Corey Hyatt flying on in now. And that 5 machine going to try and get it turned on right. Drew Bowen, a tough break right there, but a reminder, they do get that fast repair. So if he can get that car going again, maybe get down to pit lane relatively soon, get a fresh car and be set to go. Right behind him, it's Osorio Morales. They're going to go side by side through the carousel.
They are going to go. Looks like Drew's going to give way. It looks like trying to find room, grab that curbing off the side. But absolutely a tough break for the Western Michigan machine. He was running well, and he will get the fast repair, but man, you hate to feel when we've all been there. As we go down now into Canada corner, side by side, looks like Carl Lemkool in that white Ford GT you see there, taken away from Corey Hyatt that position. Looks like Hyatt has brought his internet over from the previous Le Mans race 2 weeks ago. As you see, he is blinking in and out right there. That's an internet connection issue, but he's still in the race. And he's got the draft down this long front stretch here at Road America.
And right behind them, don't forget about Tillman Schmid. He's gained 9 positions since the start of this race. Schmid, the lone Virginia Tech driver, as you see Bowen down pit lane right now. He's going to take that fast repair now, try and get caught on up. But Tillman Schmid, one of those drivers who just quietly makes his way toward the front of the pack week in and week out. Just very consistent driver, really, all season long. He's kind of battling that Corvette a little bit here tonight.
That he is, and some of these guys are still getting squared away with their setups. Car coming in, we know sometimes John Price comes to life later, and then we speak about how fast he is. But I say that as he has closed that gap a little bit, certainly now well within drafting range. And so he's going to let Alexander Clank cut a hole through that air in front of him. And you do wonder if he is going to save a little fuel as he goes. We follow now here with the Corvette and the Porsche as we go through the turn 3. And you see Ohio's Logan Sennheiser there leading them both.
Logan Sennheiser right there in that Ohio Bobcats machine. Benjamin Pacheco in that yellow and gray Chevy Corvette, holding off Zachary Yarnigan back there in that Porsche. And we've seen the Porsches be really hit or miss. We see those top 2, Alexander Klink and John D. Price, both Porsches holding on to that first and second. But we also see a lot of Porsches down there toward the bottom of the pack. Andrew Covell in the 35, Esteban Moonrose in the 29. Both those drivers just outside the top 20 even, and trying to make their way up toward the front. Speaking of up toward the front, Alexander Klink under a little bit of pressure from John D. Price now.
That's right. Price is there, and he's now picking a strategy. You can be sure that he's looking at where Klink is going to get on the gas, where he's going to hit the brakes, how he's going to run, and most importantly, where Price thinks he can attack. We talk about the Porsche, and it's a versatile car. It's a difficult car to drive and drive fast, but you can see that if done properly, it'll be up towards the front. It is a car that has a little bit less horsepower than its competitors, and so corner speed, apex speed, and smoothness from the driver is very important here. Now on board in Canada corner with the Virginia Tech machine, that is Tillman Schmid.
Schmid just a little too hard on the brakes since that back end around and takes that car immediately to pit lane. We'll see if Schmid's able to come back from that one. Like Josh mentioned, you do get that fast repair from iRacing, so you can get right back on track. And now we're back up with Klink, who's opened up a 0.6 of a second gap here on John D. Price, but you can see that gap closing and opening as they head through those straightaways, and you can get a little bit of draft there.
Well, you certainly can get some draft, and then you can get in the corner. Price here, if he does choose to follow through some of these turns and save some fuel, doesn't need to be right up behind. If he wants to get closer, the draft will let him do that, but as he goes through these corners, he'll allow a little bit of air in between him and the car in front to put some downforce on his own car. That'll give him grip in the corners. That'll give him some better visibility. It's kind of hard to see the apex in front of you when there's a car sitting on it. So a little bit of gamesmanship possibly from John Price in that Texas at Arlington car.
So getting a good look at really all the top 10 here. A little bit of a surprise right there is that VCU car of Cody Fadenhauer. He's just kind of struggled all season long. You're looking at him right here, currently scored 31st on your scoring screen, and he's amongst the leaders as they try to sneak on by him. And you see him just kind of slow through turn one right there, going to be snuck on by a couple of those top 5 drivers. And the VCU team really trying to just string out a couple really good races. We saw them very good at the start of the season, and they've kind of fallen off as of late. So curious to see if they can pull it together here later on. But let's take a look through your top 10. Alexander Klink in the lead. He's got John D. Price right behind him. Kevin Vu, he was a race winner in the CIL already this season, and he looked very strong there at Spa.
That is correct. Vu is quick and actually took his BMW to Spa, but then we had the changes that iRacing brought out in the balance of performance, picked up that Corvette and picked up right where he left off. You see him through the carousel now. And another Corvette, Jared Kaler at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Talked about his win previously this season and running a really strong race. Added a gold stripe to that car for this race this time. So a good performance from him in that 4th place. Behind him, we have Carl Kuttinger. And solid run, our first Ferrari, and we have had some more Ferraris this race. But good to see him up there. It's a new guy. Hopping around, and we have had some new drivers join up this race and doing well so far, and representing Ferrari while they do it.
Carrying on down your top 10, Aaron Folkert's currently scored in 6th from Columbia Southern University. You see that fun little addition, each college's or university's logo at the bottom left corner of your screen, and we'll try to keep you abreast of every school that's making ground here tonight. Let's take a look on a battle going on. Corey Hyatt trying to make a little bit of ground on Christian De Andra. From the Colorado School of Mines is Hyatt. He's got that Ford GT plastered all over his front windshield, trying to make up a little bit of ground. It looks like a couple of those drivers going to have a little bit of internet issue there, so we're going to get you back there here momentarily.
No, that is correct. And Hyatt there, a little bit of damage over that right front fender. Not sure if that's new or if that's been carried on, but he will no doubt get that wrapped up with his fast repair at the pit stop. Talked about VCU earlier, and they've been consistent, but they added Will Creor to their roster at Le Mans, and he is currently running a happy 10th in that Corvette. And you do wonder if that switch to the Corvette and that new manufacturer brought a little bit of life to that group.
Absolutely, and checking in on Paul Kim, he's having a rough little race. A couple of incidents already for the NYU team here tonight. You see him get in there with Fadenhauer and just sends it in a little too deep, has to lock it on down, get stuck kind of in that kitty litter, and you're going to want to clear that off of your tires before you get back on track, and it looks like the Porsche does just that. He's actually going to bring that thing. Thought he was going to go to pit road, but I spoke too early. But Paul came in the 99. Another one of those drivers just joining us here this week. And it's good to see the influx of drivers that we've had here tonight.
No, it's been great. And this is the most cars we've had on track. 33 cars up to this point. And it's been good. And there's a lot more variety. We talked about different strategies, different plans, and certainly action all over the track right now.
Absolutely. Trying to keep you abreast of everything that's going on throughout this. You see a big battle going on right here. It's Corey Hyatt, Osorio Morales, and William Ashworth looking on during this battle. Morales is going to take the advantage right there in the Porsche, but the Ford trying to hold on right there. Corey Hyatt has run the Ford all season long, and he's looked pretty good doing it. One of those drivers, we saw someone mention in the chat that not a lot of Ford GTs. There's 3 here tonight, and Corey Hyatt has been the driver who's stuck with the Ford all season long. We saw him running at Le Mans, and it really worked for him. As here goes Ashworth to the inside, and he's going to tuck back behind Hyatt going into turn 1.
No, that's correct. And William Ashworth, one of those new faces, and he has the best seat in the house for this battle right now. And looks like they've spread out a little bit, but they'll have a draft as they go down. We talked about the Ford. It does not draft as well as we see Ferrari. I believe that is Alexander Pacini taking a detour through the scenic route, and he'll get back on track here, and he's got a little bit of time to get up to speed.
And you see right there, the Universidad Federale de Santa Maria. And that's so cool to say that we have just such a wide variety of colleges participating here, as he's going to get loose and he's going to get into Zachary Yarnigan. Yarnigan going to get turned into the corner. Pacini over the radio, obviously apologizing for that one. But Yarnigan cannot be happy about that one. That Porsche looking pretty banged up. And he's going to have to limp that thing back around the pit lane.
I think he is, and still struggling to get up to speed. Tough move there, Pacini. You don't know if he had damage from what we saw earlier, and then you get in there a little deep under brakes, and you pick your normal braking point and forget there's a car in front of you. There's a little bit less downforce there. And so, yeah, that's going to just add a little bit to that. You see we even have some cars exiting pit road, perhaps making use of that fast repair. But our leaders stay the same, Klink and Price, nose to tail. And Jarrett, I have to imagine that Price is controlling this gap as much as he wants. He's been about a half a second back for the last 20 minutes, and I think he has made his plan.
Absolutely. When we start thinking about that plan, do you pit when Klink pits? Do you pit a lap earlier? Do you pit a lap later? And one thing that Price is doing that I think maybe some of us can recognize on the broadcast is he's saving his tires. Josh mentioned it, managing that gap, making sure that you're in that drafting range so you'll close the gap on the straightaways, but then maybe take it easy throughout some of the corners, or even just good enough to stick in that second place. And that management is going to pay off throughout the rest of this race.
Well, that's correct, and I don't estimate that these two leaders will take tires, and so saving those will be all the more important. Catch up now with Carl Lemkool trying to get through. It looked like he had to get on the brakes a little bit heavy. Around he'll go. That's the St. Louis machine. Good little avoidance by the VCU machine. That's Cody Fadenauer in the BMW. That 95 car gets going the right way. And really tough spot right there to just get a little bit of the grass. And Jarrett, we know that we have seen the grass is lava. It does not take much to get turned around there.
Absolutely. And When we did the practice with some of the drivers 1 week ago, we mentioned just how tough the grass is. You get even one tire on it, and it just sneaks on around. And we're seeing that here tonight, and it makes it so important. And actually, John D. Price in the wall right there from second place, and he's going to go inside of the tire barrier. We just mentioned the grass, and we might have to take another look at that one.
We might, and you can see here he just got just a touch off the grass. Nothing you can do there. His momentum carried him towards that inside tire barrier. It looks like he made actually a smart, quick call and took himself immediately to pit road. Probably going to do that fast repair and then put the fuel in. Not the strategy he was looking for, but I think he's made the most of his opportunity there. So that will change the race. Certainly, P2 now held by Vu. That's Kevin Vu of UC Riverside, and he is also under attack from Jared Kaler. These two have shared the track a number of times together. And anyways, Alexander Klenk continues to be out front for WPI. You see here as we keep going through, Jared Kaler continues to work on that Corvette, and you wonder if he's doing something similar, saving his tires, saving his fuel for that time that they're going through. And we are now almost to the halfway point, 26 minutes of 60 completed here. And so we start thinking about saving fuel, saving tires. We mentioned that Price may have been doing so behind that leader Klenk, but now with that gap behind him, Alexander Klenk gets to take care of his equipment as he would like. And so those guys are going to be some beneficiaries here of that. You see Klenk there going through Canada Corner. And we talked about consistency. The Porsche can be the most difficult car to drive, and it didn't take just one slip. And now Klenk is out in front here, and we will see if he can take that 337 machine all the way to the finish.
You see the gap right there, 5 seconds, and right back to Kevin Vu under attack from Jared Kaler now as they come down the front straight away. And something to think about, Alexander Klenk, when you see someone in your rearview mirror like that, it might push you to go a little bit faster, to sneak a little bit further on up the leaderboard. And without someone behind you, maybe he's just going to take it easy, save his stuff, and with a 5-second gap, he's going to be able to do that, and saving those tires for that second stint could be so important, especially on a hot track like this. We mentioned the weather earlier in the race, 26 degrees, still 26 degrees with the track temp rising to 51 degrees Celsius. So a pretty hot track as we ride along with Jared Kaler.
Here we are on board with Kaler. This is where so many guys lose it. Getting down, heavy braking into that turn. Probably the hardest braking. You see a little slip off the corner. They go into sector 2 now. The weight transfers off the car as they make that left. And then as soon as they make that, it's time for a right and then another quick left. And draft won't be so effective here, but that corner can be flat right there. As you see now, they come down. And this is a deceptive corner. We see so many cars go off. How late can you brake? And now we go under the tunnel and into the carousel. It's a long sweeper, and guys will try and run in the middle. You can see Kaler there on the grass, and then everybody agrees that you want to aim right for that curbing at the end. And then we have the kink. It used to be flat. Now we've made some aero changes and just a little lift through there. A very high downforce corner, high G's, and we run down the twisty straight into Canada Corner. Kaler now still chasing that Riverside machine of Kevin Vu, and just too many twisty bits, I think, to make that draft work. They'll do a couple more corners and then back onto the front stretch where they can do it all again.
So they continue to battle, and a couple battles going on mid-pack as we kind of take you through the field a little bit, checking in on one of two BMWs here tonight, and the one running in 10th, Alejandro Diaz. A little bit of damage to the front end of that BMW Motorsports machine. In that Cal paint scheme, pretty good looking paint scheme right there for Diaz from that UC Berkeley machine. Right behind him, Osorio Morales. We've talked about him really making the most with that damage to the wing of the Porsche. And once he gets that fast repair, Osorio Morales might be able to sneak into that top 10, maybe even closer to that top maybe 7, 8.
I was going to say he's got the pace, and we've seen him have the pace earlier this season. Missed a couple races just due to life. Remember, there are college students here and alumni, and everybody's bouncing their schedule. But right now, he's on a mission. Started back, was at 15th at one point, but now 11th, and trying to get a little bit of that draft. And like you said, break that top 10. So we'll see what happens. In fact, it looks like he is now scored in 10th position as pit stops begin to cycle through, Jarrett.
Absolutely. You're going to see pit lane across the right side of the ticker for drivers that are entering pit lane. You see Pacini coming down pit lane, Heathley and Sennhauser as well. Krehor already in the pits, and he's going to be coming off of pit road here. And further on back, William Ashworth, haven't called his name really here tonight, but the UMass Lowell individual coming in 20th, and a good looking paint scheme right there for William Ashworth. And that is one of the shameless plugs that we'll do tonight for the Collegiate iRacing League, providing paints for some of these drivers that might not have the ability. As we provide the scholarships for the tracks and cars at times, we also provide the ability to get a paint scheme for free provided to the driver. And you see that UMass Lowell machine moving up to 17th. Trying to make his way back. He's lost 5 positions from the start of the race due to a couple incidents there, but trying to make that UMass Lowell machine work.
Well, that's all right. And we know the Corvette is one of the more stable platforms on the service right now. You can see he is chasing the Got Avocado car. That's the lime green Porsche there. Or sorry, that's the Ferrari as we go through. And they'll be working through Sector 2 right now. Going to be missing a little bit of downforce in that Ferrari. He'll notice that as he goes through the kink as well as he goes down into Canada Corner. And we'll see if the UMass machine behind him can take advantage.
Ashworth gonna go to work throughout the carousel, and you see the little bit of difference right here. Damage to the front end of Justin Jang versus a clean car for the 37 of Ashworth. As they go towards the kink, you're going to see this long straightaway and quite possibly a good little run right here by Ashworth.
Now that is correct. He'll go to work on Jang. Will he go left, right, or wait for another moment? He's going to look like he will fall in line and wait for another moment. Maybe a smart move. I do expect that he will have a very good draft if we can follow him here onto the front stretch. A little bit of defense from Jang there. The Cal State machine. And as they go on to the trouble! Not sure if that was netcode or intentional. Doubtful it was intentional, but netcode or just a misjudge there of braking. Very tough. In fact, you know what? I will say netcode. I saw a little bit of daylight between those two cars as the Cal State machine, the avocado machine, got turned around. This may be a good time for Justin to take his faster pair. It looks like he will do so as he rolls down pit road now.
So you'll notice on the right side of the ticker, those numbers with the X right behind it, those are incident points over the course of the night. And you'll see those start to rack on up. Drivers will get 1 or 2 for any light contact or any off-track incidents. They'll get 4 incident points for any heavy car contact. As you ride along with your leader, Alexander Klank, he's going to be dealing with lapped traffic here a little bit. But each of those incident points will add up, and if you cumulatively get up to 17, you'll get a drive-through penalty. We see Paul Kim had one of those already, having to serve it. And Esteban Moonrose, at 10 right now. So pay attention to Moonrose throughout the race as he's through 10 through about halfway in the race. So got to clean up that driving just a little bit. But a lot of the other drivers very low on that, and that's what you'd like to see. It's really good to see all the very low kind of incident points here tonight.
Yeah, Jarrett, we've discussed the clean racing before. I think a lot of these drivers are getting used to a little more traffic in their area. And we see the Porsche go sideways there. Wasn't able to see who it was. Kaler a little bit loose as well. There looks like the 55 machine of Keegan Smith. That's the Arizona State University car. Convenient place to turn around right there as the wall helped a little bit. Keep him pointed the right direction. It looks like he got back on track. And just touched the IUPUI car of Cohen Evans. We've seen Cohen Evans have some good pace all season. We'll see how he's doing later this race.
Looking at him right now, Cohen Evans in the IUPUI machine. One of the better looking paint schemes here, and that's what's so cool about the Collegiate iRacing League is you can represent your college through a variety of ways, and one of them, definitely that paint scheme. A lot of the drivers using their individual artistic ability. We see a bunch of different paint schemes. Kevin Vu's UC Riverside machine looking great. Jared Kaler's UNC Charlotte is top notch. Drew Bowen still got to be one of my favorites. That Western Michigan machine as we continue to run through 32 minutes of 1 hour here at Road America.
That's good, and it is tough to keep up with the action. We've got action in all different corners of the track. As we follow Cohen Evans up here, like we said, the Jaguar looking good on the side of the car. Logan Sennheiser will take a position away as he goes into, looks like turn 2, that right-hander, and under the Sargento Bridge. And that 32 machine, that is the University of Ohio. And it looks like he will do a little bit of defense here. And we see the leader, Clank, flashing lights behind. Here's a situation where we have 2 Corvettes trying to race for position, racing aggressively. But the leader just wants to get through and has the pace to do so. And we're about to go into the twistiest part of the track. Let's see how they divvy it up here.
So this is what it's all about. Is Klink going to be able to be patient enough? Will he be able to pick his spots? You see the flashing lights again. He wants to get by Sennhauser. Sennhauser going to give him the inside. We'll see if he takes it. And Klink does. Sends it hard to the inside. We'll see if he's able to keep it on track. Just not able to as he goes into the grass. And he's going to have to get back on track.
That will set him back. And I think that perhaps that Corvette was trying to give the position, but it was a little bit awkward. And that turn we talked about is deceptive. You feel like you have all day to brake, and then it comes up on you. It is a tighter turn than it looks. So through the kink now, he'll try to use that draft. We'll see if he can get there through Canada Corner. We talked about the gap he had, but it is now down from 5 seconds to 3.2 after that episode, and he still has 2 lap cars in front.
You can see drivers in front of him, drivers behind him. Klink trying to navigate this lap traffic, and we haven't really seen it all that much here in the Collegiate iRacing League, but here at Road America, a little bit shorter of a track with those 2-minute lap times. And Klink gonna head down pit lane. Smart move right there. He's caught up in the traffic, and he's gonna decide to go to pit lane and turn over the lead to Kevin Vu in that UC Riverside machine.
Kevin Vu is gone now and is in P1. And a good decision, and I don't know if Plank really had a choice, but he made the right one, and we'll see if it was too little, too late. Lost a lot of time there, so we'll see how he shakes out when everybody cycles through their pit stops. With 38 minutes completed, I'm not sure if everyone has completed their pit stop. We will note that Kevin Vu is the lone driver without a incident point. Even and off track, he is still doing a 0x race. We follow now the San Diego State car. That is the Porsche, as well as the Ford GT of Carl Lemkuhl.
So checking in on Jamie Lawrence right here. We're going to get a look inside his car here in just a moment. You watch that San Diego State machine head down toward the twisty part of the track, as Josh calls it, and couldn't really disagree anymore. And he's going to try and follow that VCU machine. Looks like Cody Fadenhauer in the number 20. That BMW has definitely seen better days, and he's going to pull off to the side. Let the San Diego State machine sneak on by. And Jamie Lawrence doing a pretty good job right here throughout the course of this race.
That's correct. Looks like we saw a car off to the side. We talked about that was the same turn that they had ended up there. But Jamie Lawrence with a little bit of a clean track ahead of him as he now goes through the kink. And Jarrett, I got to say it's a clean-looking machine. I don't see any scrapes on it. Maybe he's used a fast repair, but even so, there is something to be said for being clean and staying out of trouble. And that is going to be seconds and eventually positions as this race gets down to the end.
Absolutely. Just in front of him, Cohen Evans trying to go to work on Aaron Folkerts. Just in front of him. You see the gap ever so tight right there. Looks like Folkert's, excuse me, that's the lap down car right there. And right behind him, you see Lawrence up to 6. So Lawrence actually having a very good race. It's Lawrence's first race here in the CIL. And as he heads back down into turn 1, now up to 5th position as we still cycle on through pit stops. Kevin Vu onto pit lane. He turns the lead over to Jared Kaler, who's got a little bit of gap right here. He's got that Ohio Bobcats machine right behind him. And a little gap back to Carter Cuttinger in 2nd.
That's correct. 2nd place held by Tryon University in that Ferrari, and making it look good. We have not seen too much pace from the Ferraris. Alexander Pacini has been carrying the flag all by himself, doing a great job at it. But these guys come through now, and we saw a little bit earlier the Ohio machine being flashed by Kaler, saying, please, please let me through, and don't put me in a situation like we just saw with Clank. That is the nightmare of traffic that we see. And so these guys negotiating now, and pretty soon it'll be Tryon University's time to try and get through and see if they can continue chasing down that leader.
Zern Folkert's back there in 3rd. We've seen Folkert's do a pretty good job here in the CIL all season long. Right behind him, Cohen Evans and Jamie Lawrence making up your top 5. Alexander Klink in 6th. We'll see where he shakes out after pit stops cycle on through. Henry Morse in 7th. Kevin Vu in 8th. John D. Price in 9th. And Abe Osorio Morales still has not come down pit lane. Still has not fixed the wing of that Porsche. And getting all the way up to 10th with a car like that, you got to pay attention to him through the second half of this race.
The second half of this race and the second half of this season. And you do wonder if he would think about coming to pit road. We know that the Porsches are good on fuel mileage, but with under 20 minutes to go in this race, you do wonder if it would behoove him to make his way down, grab that faster pair, and get that work done. As you can see in our overlay, we have white names and blue names. White names are on the lead lap. Blue names are going to be 1 lap down. And then the gap that you see on the right is timing on track, the relative time to each car behind. So you can see that 1st place to 2nd place is a 2.5 second lead that Kaler has on Cuttinger. And then you can see that Cuttinger is ahead of Folkerts by about 3.8 seconds. And so these guys going through, and we see, in fact, Keithley has an entire lap advantage on this 27th position car, Kevin Smith. So you see the different guys going through and his pit stops in the middle of their cycle right now.
So everyone trying to get all of these pit stops shaken on out right now. Kevin Vu still in pit lane. Looks like he might be done for the night. Not quite sure what happened to the 54 machine, but he's been on pit lane for quite a while after running there in the top 5 all night long. Struggling to see that here tonight as we look back on some of your mid-pack guys. We mentioned the blue names. Now as we show you some of your mid-pack guys, you're going to see red names. And the red names simply mean that those drivers are a lap ahead, a lap or more ahead of these current drivers. In the 21 machine of Alexandre Pacini, he's got John D. Price right behind him, and you see Price trying to make up the gap through the carousel, and they will be A-OK through there. Price, quick little thank you over the radio, I'm sure.
Yeah, nothing like a little bit of cohesion between these guys, and they definitely wanted to get that sorted out before the kink came up. And so now they're going to go through and see what they can do. You see the University of Minnesota behind Pacini. And another good-looking car, simple paint scheme, but good. And we see a little bit of damage here as we look for a number. That's the 82 machine, Sam Roslansky, the Wisconsin Badger. Theo Burns is traveling tonight, and so this is our Wisconsin representative. Looks like he is waiting for that faster pair as well.
Pit lane coming off of the exit is Carter Cuttinger. He's trying to get back on track, currently sitting in 4th. And tight space right there between him and Henry Morse. Morse cut the angle off on turn 1. You see just how aggressive these guys are getting with just about 15, 16 minutes to go here at Road America.
Well, that's correct, and it's tough to come out of pits there and see in your mirror anybody that's coming up, because the drivers that are coming up over that hill have just finished the front stretch, and they're doing about 160 miles an hour, and so they go from a speck to a blob in your mirror quite rapidly, and they made it work, and they're going through. It looks like that Henry Morse is going to chase down, I believe that's Andrew Covell in the Porsche in front of him.
Covell, another one of those drivers getting the free paint scheme from the Collegiate iRacing League. A pretty good looking one at that. It's Covell trying to hold on to that spot, stay a lap in front of Morse and Cuttinger. But this is where we see the battle for fourth, really, between Morse and Cuttinger. Is that going to be interrupted by Covell and Fadenhauer lap traffic just in front of them?
That will be interesting to see. They'll catch them about at the same time they get to candidate corner, or right after. But I think they're going to catch them before they get to the front stretch, and so there will be a transition period that's going to be very hard to pass. It looks like they're right behind them, and this is great for the Ferrari behind Trine University. And they're going to try and find a way through 2x2, side by side. And it looks like everybody will stay on the track and do well. Covell has turned sideways there. And now we will rejoin the front stretch. And it looks like the Corvette will remain in the lead. As we see here the replay, just how I think that Andrew, the Porsche, just ran out of room. We saw the grass right there. Not much you can do. Those two are fighting for position. Everybody's trying to get through in one piece. And that was the result there of the racing.
Absolutely, and as pit stops have cycled on out, you see Alexander Klink has gone up to the top spot. Jared Kaler currently scored in second. You see the gap right there. Carter Cuttinger in third, and John D. Price, after that spin, has made his way all the way back to fourth. What an incredible race for Price after that, getting into the tire barrier and battling his way all the way back up. Good little run for that team here tonight.
Well, that's right, and it is too bad that he found himself amidst the tires. Certainly he has the pace. In fact, he's showing he has race-winning pace right now, and I think he's just trying to come back, and we'll see if he can land that podium spot. Fantastic race from these guys, as we see the BMW here, as well as the Corvette. That's William Ashworth that we saw before, and he'll see if he can get a little draft on this long front stretch.
Trying to chase down Alejandro Diaz in the 69 machine. They'll go side by side at the start-finish line. Ashworth to the inside, Diaz to the outside. And looks like he's going to get a good run, able to sneak up in front of the BMW and get a good corner entry there in turn 1. And he might be able to pull away from that BMW here after turn 2 down that straightaway. And it looks like Diaz not willing to give it up just yet.
Diaz not quite giving it up, but I think he was a little bit warm into that turn, which will put a little bit of space between those two cars. I don't know if he can come back in the draft since the rest of the racetrack is coming up, but good battle from those two, and it was clean as well. If we go down here and finish up, we see Pacini looks like back ahead of Andrew Covell, and looks like those two will race for position through here.
They head back toward that long front straightaway. You're going to get to see the impact of the draft once again. Pacini in that lead car position. We haven't really seen anyone do any real defensive driving. We haven't seen Pacini like dive to that inside line and protect it like you'll see in Formula One racing. For example, Covell not going to get the run that he needs to lay the pass on Pacini just yet. Having a little bit of internet issues is Covell as well. We saw that a little bit earlier from Corey Hyatt as well. And all that is just the internet dropping a little too low for iRacing to properly render the car. So that's why you see the car blink like that.
Well, that's correct. And we see the Andrew Covell machine for San Jose State. And behind him, we have San Diego State. Now on board, we avoid a car in the grass. Looks like we're on board as Alexander Clank tries to go around the Ford GT. He'll do that in the carousel and then set his sights on the next Corvette, of whom I could not see a car number.
It's a Corvette in front of him. That 77 machine of Benjamin Pacheco. And that University of Delaware machine, our lone Delaware racer here tonight. We'll see if he'll give the inside. He's hard on the brakes. Doesn't quite give it. It looks like he will. Clink to the inside. Going to use up all the track. And you see that Delaware machine actually gets passed by the driver who's going to follow Clink right on through. And that's Christian Deandra in that Drexel machine, that 43 machine. Making his way into 22nd, trying to make it into the top 20.
That's correct, Christian Deandra with Drexel University. And I thought being a race engineer was difficult, but Christian is a biomedical student who simulates spine injury in his primary work. So hats off to Mr. Christian. He did race karts and raced sims before, and has recently picked up iRacing and stumbled across the Collegiate iRacing League, where he's making his debut this evening.
And what a debut it's been for him. Started off on the pole, and he's held on to that really all race long, having no trouble on pit lane. And that's where we see a lot of drivers lose and gain positions, is on that pit lane. And from what we know, all the drivers taking just fuel. So you're going to see the cars really slide around here in these last 10 or so minutes. You see the gap back to Kaler in that UNC Charlotte machine. And Kaler, he's been up toward the top really quite a bit this season. And it's good to see UNC Charlotte. We start thinking about the school points. UNC Charlotte in second, only behind UT Arlington, if I remember that correctly. So another good showing for the UNC Charlotte team.
That is correct. Your point standings are Texas at Arlington, UNC Charlotte, and Columbia Southern. And we'll update those after this race. As you see UNC Charlotte riding through the kink right now, up on the inside curb, but then the outside curb. And then breathe a little bit. Stretch your hands and grab the wheel again as you come in straight to Canada Corner. Heavy on the brakes. We see a little bit of grass fly right there. And we see the Ferrari of Trine University going through and exiting Canada Corner, and will be on the front stretch short enough. A car in the gravel behind.
Looked like Gavin Keithley in the Minnesota machine. He's going to be in the gravel as well. Might also have been Paul Kim there going off track. So we'll take another replay here, looking at Kim in that NYU machine. Good looking paint scheme right there, and looks like the kitty litter right there after that corner. Popular place to be as Kim kind of joined on in that party.
Well, that is tough, and there's a couple reasons for it. As these cars start to wear their tires out, the braking distances are going to go longer. And then we were seeing some drivers talk in the Discord about the instability of the Ferrari, and we know that the Porsche is not always stable under braking. And so, we have guys trying to brake later. It's a difficult corner, and the tires aren't there. And especially if someone's in front of you, there's not as much downforce on the car. Just a few reasons to find yourself in the overrun area for that corner.
Absolutely. And you see your top five all squared away here. Klink, Kaler, Cuttinger, Folkerts, and Evans, your top five. No lap traffic in between all of those drivers. Excuse me, Pacheco is actually in between fourth and third. But other than that, everyone with pretty open skies in front of them. Is Klink going to come up on lap traffic here in a moment? And that's going to be Kaler's only hope with under 10 minutes to go here in this race.
That is correct. And we've seen the traffic get to Klink a couple times before. What a race, though. Klink in his debut this evening, doing very well from the lead. Kaler, been with us all season in his fourth appearance. And getting ready to go and try and give it his best 10 minutes to go ahead and get that lead. And then we see Aaron Folkerts, Cohen Evans, names we've seen up front all season. Let's see if they can close that gap and have a little fight of their own as we get to the end.
Take a look at the bottom right corner of your screen. The pit stop strategy here tonight. Alexander Klink going in after 17 laps. Rest of the top 5 going in on lap 20 and 21. A little bit interesting differentiation of strategy right there. And maybe just the right call for Klink. He had a good 5-second lead when he came down to pit lane. But Kaler, Cuttinger, Fulkerts, and Evans all waited him out about 3 or 4 laps further. And they still ended up back there in second. So you see the pit strategy right there. There were talks of an undercut. Will Krehor in 7th almost did it, pitting on lap 13. So drivers trying to really make something work here.
Well, they are, and you can see as we follow Clank into that turn 3, even under braking, you see that car wiggle a little bit. Our leader, the class of the field today, just trying to keep that car at bay and get through these final 10 minutes unscathed. And certainly, pit stops were a strategy. We saw Clank have trouble with lap traffic, and I think that sent him to pit road, whether he wanted to or not. But it worked out for him, and he made some wise decisions, and here we are. Going through the carousel with the Ohio machine. That's Logan Sennheiser.
Sennheiser in his first race, 15th right now, so not a bad run here tonight. Like we mentioned, great field here tonight. Love to see a big turnout like that. 32 drivers taking the green flag here tonight. And what a race it has been, as you see Alexander Klink. And trouble right there for the leader. He's going to be involved, able to survive, it looks like, for the time being.
That is going to be difficult. You can see the best of intentions trying to get out of the way, and resulted in grabbing that grass and getting together. You can see flashing the lights, just let me through, and you can see the result right there, and a big ripple on the fender for our leader Clank, and Jared Kaler will be in hot pursuit, and the game is now, can he be smooth and keep his top speed up in time for these guys? A very difficult set of circumstances for our leader, and we'll see what happens here in less than 10 minutes, about 5 minutes now to go, as these guys try to finish this race. Startling turn of events, Jarrett.
You see the gap at the top left corner of your screen closing so very quickly. Now 3.2 seconds. Going to be 3.1 down this straightaway, I would imagine at least. The top speed of Klink has been absolutely shredded by that damage, but he's still just a little bit quicker in the corner. But like you said, can Kaler keep it clean? Will Cuttinger help out if he gets to the back end of Kaler? All of this going to be answered in the next 5 minutes. You see the gap 3.1 now as they come down to that hard left-hander.
That is correct, and we know that type of damage on the front of your car can be between a half second and a full second per lap. We know the gap is about 3 seconds. Will there be 3 or 4 laps left in this race? We know lap times here are about 2 minutes a lap. So we will find out what the math says. Remember, the timer must run out, and then we will have the white flag. That is not good news for our leader, Clank. Driving that WPI machine, we'll see what happens. UNC Charlotte in hot pursuit, driven by Jared Kaler, and Jarrett will follow on board here.
So Clank in a little bit of trouble trying to hold on here as you look at Jared Kaler, trying to chase him on down. Will he be able to? As you see, clear skies back behind him on the nose of the 58 machine. It's 3.2, now back to 3.3, so Kaler needs to gain a little ground through the corners, and he'll be good to go. You're going to watch him gain a lot of ground on this straightaway here, but is it going to be enough? Or will Alexander Klink just have just enough cornering, as you see him start to close in on lap traffic again, to keep Jared Kaler at bay? Right now it's looking good for Klink, but like we mentioned, he does have lap traffic on the way.
That is correct, and you can see there, not quite at the top of his rev range as we ride on board. That's going to be the aerodynamic drag slowing him down, but you are correct that it's going to be the corners that suit the Porsche the best, and that should be okay. Even with that little bit of damage there, he should have most of his downforce. So we'll see that gap now, about 3 seconds, still a little bit over. I did expect to see it close, and so maybe Clank will come out all right. Tough contact there just before the corner.
You see on the straightaway down to 2.93, 2.92 at its closest right there, but Kaler just can't keep the gap down there. But we'll see as he comes up on this red, black, and white Porsche right here. Lap traffic right now. If Clink can sneak on by without any kind of problem, or if Kaler maybe gains a couple extra seconds right here. He's going to need everything he's got with about 3 minutes left to go in this race.
The carousel is where you don't want to catch him. That's the Northeastern University machine of Zachary Yarnigan. And will he be able to get through during the kink? It looks like he will pull over and let him through. And that gap now sitting at about 2.9 seconds.
2.9 through the kink. It's opened up to 3.0. So Alexander Klink, a little bit of damage on that machine, but he is really doing the most with that Porsche. Jared Kaler back in that Chevrolet Corvette, not able to close the gap just enough. Back behind him, Carter Cuttinger trying to close the gap, maybe sneak a second spot. Right behind them, Aaron Folkert's trying to go to work on a little bit of lap traffic himself.
Well, and he needs to get to it because we said Cohen Evans was coming, and he is. Looks like he'll try and get the inside this time. The lap car will give way, and we'll see if Cohen Evans gets similar treatment or if he has to adjust his exit to the corner. That's going to slow him down, and that may be all Aaron Folkert's needed to get that Columbia Southern machine to the front and keep it P4 to the end of this race.
Believe that was the 87 of James Blausch right there, letting both of those drivers by. And we've seen really everyone be pretty cordial in terms of lap traffic, but we've also seen the worst thing that could happen in terms of lap traffic. And it's not over yet for Klink, still continuing to deal with some lap traffic here as he's coming up on a few more.
Well, that is correct, and I think that he's going to have that until we're completed here. Looks like a train of Porsches trying to go through. Trouble slowing real hard through that kink right there. And through the second sector, he's got a little bit of open space before the next car. The gap now down to 2.5, 2.2 as we go through these portions of the track. And Jared Kaler doing his absolute best to get through, but Jared Kaler has to handle these cars as well.
Maybe a little bit more damage on the front end of Klink as you see that gap continuing to close. 2.2, 2.3. Will it be under 2 seconds as we approach the final lap here at Road America?
And that is the flag that Mr. Klink, our leader, wants to see. He has that damage. He can't hold the gap forever, but can he hold it for one more lap? See a little bit of lockup as we go into Canada Corner. Wide, a car in the gravel. And Kaler will get through just fine. That'll serve Kaler well, as that's one more car he does not have to get around. And as we get to the front stretch, that gap will be just over 2 seconds. And by the end of the front stretch, I estimate it'll be under 2 seconds.
That was Esteban Moonrose, the driver. Actually, your checkered flag is out. Apologies there. Alexander Klink going to come away with the victory. Jared Kaler in second. Carter Cuttinger finishes third. And a big drag race right here between Folkerts and Evans. Looks like Folkerts will take that one at the finish line. Jamie Lawrence with a great debut here in the College iRacing League. He comes away 6th. And Will Krehor coming on around. Looks like he will come away 7th. And right as soon as I say that, actually, Henry Morse going to give him a run for his money here in the final couple corners.
Henry Morse smelling blood. 2 Corvettes touched side by side, one in the grass. Krehor for VCU in the grass. It looks like that the 44 machine, Henry Morse, used a little bit of that Corvette bumper to get around, and he will place himself in that position. That will be the 7th position to get through. Henry Morse for UC Berkeley. And it looks like the VCU machine now off the racing line and slow for some reason. We will have to follow up on that as we come across now with Kevin Vu, the UC Riverside Corvette.
Vu actually going to sneak by Morse, or Krehor, excuse me. And it looks like Krehor in a little bit of trouble right here, or he's chosen to just stop. Corey Hyatt going to sneak on by. William Ashworth as well. All those drivers getting into the top 10 here.
That is correct, and I can only imagine he calculated about 100 feet too short of fuel That's the VCU machine of Krihor. We talked about he was leading the VCU team, at least at the time of that. There you see Alexander Diaz in the 69 machine, Alejandro Diaz. And you see Ferrari, that is Pacini, Alexander Pacini around in the final lap, trying to get those tires to the end and still working on getting that the right way.
So Pacini might just be having some fun at this point in the race. And he is going to bring that thing onto pit road. What a finish it was. Alexander Klink coming away your winner here tonight for the WPI, the Worcester Polytechnic Institute, getting their first win. And you see pushed across the finish line right there. Krihor will get some assistance to sneak across the finish line in that VCU machine.
That is a heartbreaking for a number of drivers. Will Krior, the VCU machine, looking so good in that top 10 spot. And then we have Alexander Klink. We'll be interested to talk to him. In fact, it looks like we'll talk to him pretty soon. He certainly had a minor heart attack as he went through and tried to keep that car straight and then keep it straight to the finish. We'll have to ask him how many laps he thought he had left because he didn't have too many. And Jared Kaler we'll hear from as well.
All right, so now into the booth is our race winner here tonight, Alexander Klink. And first of all, congrats on the win. How worried were you when you got that damage there at the end? Talk us through those last couple laps.
Oh my God, that was, obviously bad luck, but also amazing luck. I don't know how I kept it straight or got away with as little damage as I did. I thought for sure when I turned into the next corner that it was just going to go straight. So really lucky.
Well, that's fantastic. So, congratulations, first of all, on your success here and your debut with the CIL. What were your thoughts coming in, and what were your strategy? We've seen the Porsche car that has growing popularity amongst drivers. So, how did that figure into your success tonight?
Yeah, thanks. Coming in, I knew that there was going to be a wide range of, pace, I would say, among the drivers. Definitely knew there's going to be some fast people, but also some interesting, lap traffic. So my strategy was basically to go as far as I could, but then as soon as there was too much traffic around me, I went into the pits. The Porsche is just a car I've driven for a while now, and I really enjoy it, and I'm glad it's competitive.
Absolutely. So talk us through that pit stop. We heard drivers kind of in pre-race debate about taking tires. Was that ever a thought for you, or was it just fuel and go and you're going to make it work? And how did the Porsche feel on those tires all night long?
Yeah, I didn't really ever think of taking tires. Just adds too much time, I think. Um, the track was quite hot and slippery all night, so I definitely was, being careful not to overwork the tires and overheat them, but they were fine till the end.
All right, last question, then we'll send you on to victory lane. If John D. Price doesn't spin behind you, who wins between the two of you guys?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. I think seeing with how traffic played out also, and when each of us would have pitted, that would have been huge. If there was multiple occasions where I lost like 2-3 seconds with traffic, and that could have gone either way with who got the advantage. I think our pace was very similar.
Absolutely. Well, congrats again on the win here tonight, and the floor is yours. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to here on the broadcast?
Just thanks to everyone for organizing this. Really fun first race for me to do. And I look forward to joining you in the coming weeks.
All righty. Well, great to hear. Congrats again on the win, and we'll talk to you again soon. So that was Alexander Klink, your race winner here tonight. And now joining us in the booth is Jared Kaler, your second place finisher. And Jared, when you saw Alexander get into trouble there towards the end of the race, did you think you had a shot?
Yeah, it gave me a slight glimmer of hope. Not gonna lie. Needed a couple more laps for it to play out, but he ultimately had a big enough gap, and I wasn't really close enough to capitalize on his mistake.
How did the bigger car count tonight? We had over 30 cars. How did the bigger car count and the variety of cars, more Porsches and Ferraris, figure into your race strategy and your race overall? Did you have a lot of time where you weren't in traffic?
I felt like I was in traffic pretty much the whole entire race. There were cars, and it kind of kept everyone pretty close together. I thought, if we didn't have any lap cars and if we had a smaller car count, kind of would have stretched out everything. But it for sure kept it really interesting. Always kept me on my toes. I was never relaxed just because I didn't know if I'd catch a lap right or wrong spot or whatever would happen.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like you got a lot of fans here in the chat here tonight. So what do you want to say to those guys with this second place finish?
Shout out to the homies in the squad. You know who you are. They've been supporting me the whole season, so don't give up.
Absolutely. Well, you've got UNC Charlotte might be taking the lead here in team points. We'll have to double check that math here. But as we finish into those final two races at Imola next week, do you have any predictions for that one?
Not really. I mean, I think all these races have been really hard to predict just because you don't know what's gonna happen. So I don't really have any predictions.
Well, not a problem. And it is confirmed that with the finishing place tonight, UNC Charlotte takes the lead position on top of the school standing and university standings points. So, congratulations and enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Jared Kaler coming away second place here tonight, and now another driver who's new to the Collegiate iRacing League, Carter Cuttinger. And Carter, first of all, congrats on that podium finish in your debut here tonight.
Thank you guys. Thank you. It was a fun overall race, and yeah, I mean podium definitely a little bit better than I thought I would, especially after qualifying P5. I was pretty confident I was just going to stay there, so I'm very glad to come home with a podium.
How did you feel that the Ferrari fared tonight? We had a lot more Ferraris, and I think we've only had one or two previously in each of our races. And so, was that something that you felt was an advantage? Will you bring a different car next time? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, um, I'd like to honestly think of myself as like a Ferrari factory driver, kind of in sort. I when it comes to iRacing, GTE and GT3, the Ferrari is just my go-to car. So I drive that for basically anything. And I will say at Road America with the long straights, that was definitely a disadvantage, knowing that the Ferrari is not necessarily known for its straight line speed.
Hmm.
But I mean, overall, it was just all I needed to do is run a clean race, and that's what I did, and it paid off in the end.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the clean race. Talk to us about the pit strategy. Kind of, did you have a plan in your head, or was it just kind of based on what everyone else did? Once that leader comes, you're going to go kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, at least for fuel wise, I don't use any like system or whatever, like crew chief or whatever, any assistance. So I do everything mentally. So I like to use the halfway marks and like the third marks or whatever, like 20 minutes in or such, just to make sure that my fuel number is right for what I need to add in the car. And then once I knew that number, basically I just went until I had just about like a lap of fuel left, and just came in, took the fuel, came out, and I ended up picking up a spot through there. Whether that was from other people's error or just um, the length of my pit stop.
Absolutely. Well, it turned you into a third place finisher here tonight. And what a better debut, or not a better debut you could ask for. But now the floor is yours. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to here on the broadcast?
Yeah, sure. I'll give a shout out to my racing team that I'm on. It was the paint that I was sporting tonight, just because I haven't had time to put together a school paint. So AOD Racing, those guys are awesome. We do anything from NIS to the iRacing special events to other endurance leagues and such. And then Derek, the leader of AOD Racing, is honestly one of the best guys in the world. We've been best buds for a few years now. And then just thanks to Trine for just, allowing me to, be at school for this semester. That was pretty awesome. So it's a little bit better than online schooling, but yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, great talking to you, Carter. I'm sure we're going to hear from you soon, and looking forward to seeing you next week at Imola.
Yep. Thank you guys.
All right, so that was your third place finisher, Carter Cuttinger, coming away in his debut. And a lot of drivers, two of our top three debuting here tonight and finishing in the top three. What a better way to start the Collegiate iRacing League career for them.
Well, yeah, that's awesome, and it's such a fast crowd tonight. I remember that we were looking in practice last Tuesday at 204s and 203s as kind of the standard, and the mid pack average was around 206. And tonight, I think the leaders were running 201s in qualifying and 202s in race, and then if you weren't running a 205. It was difficult. So it was a fast crowd tonight, but the racing was good. We saw a little more action. We saw that with 30 cars on track, there's less room for each of them, and I think that there are some more crews doing repairs this evening. Um, and we saw action in many different corners. We I think struggled to bring all the battles and cover every little angle, and that's fantastic. I think we do have, as Clank mentioned, a range, and we have a spot for everyone. And this has been a fantastic race. I think really good that it was one of the most popular tracks, and Imola I think will be exciting because we expect a similar car count, and it will be a track that not as many individuals will either be familiar with or have logged a lot of laps at. So I think that's something to look forward to. I think we're going to have a lot of surprises, and I think the names that we see up front tonight are going to be names that carry over 2 weeks from now at Imola. And so certainly very excited for that, and can't wait to get there.
Absolutely. A very technical track, too, but like you said, one that a lot of drivers enjoy. We're going to see a couple of chicanes, something we don't see at Road America, so stay tuned for that. We've already done Monza, and that was a very clean race, so expecting more of the same next week at Imola. Before we go through the results here tonight, we're going to hear from our friends at NextBookIt who make all of this possible. Could not do it without them, so we're going to turn it over to them, and we'll be right back with the results of this one.
For college students, books are expensive. Buying and selling them is frustrating, and it even hurts. We get it, but there's a better way that doesn't have to feel like this. With NextBookIt, skip the bookstores and buy and sell books exclusively to other students on any campus. It's easy to use, and it makes life less stressful. Buying and selling books just got easier. Just NextBookIt.
So as you just saw, NextBookIt is the next big thing for college students. It's a marketplace where you can buy and sell textbooks to and from other students from all around the country. And as an incentive to sell your books, for a limited time, NextBookIt's offering an extra $10 on top of what you make on your first book sale. And with your first semester ending at a lot of colleges, what better way to get not only that money, but that free money as well from that extra $10. In addition, use the code SAVECASH20, S-A-V-E cash 20 for free shipping and no fees. What are you waiting for? NextBookIt this fall.
Yeah, NextBookIt has provided a fantastic platform here that we can race with, and they're a great partner. And even being able to, like we said, add to this car count through the scholarship program and payouts. And a couple of new drivers going to receive some of that top 10 money this week, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So let's go through your results here of the round 4 at Road America, sponsored by NextBookIt. Alexander Klink from WPI coming away your race winner. Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte in second. Carter Cuttinger there in third from Trine University. You heard his shout out to his school in person here, and that's kind of rare. You're not going to find that a lot across the country. Aaron Fulkritz from Columbia Southern finishes 4th. Cohen Evans from IUPUI in 5th. Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State comes away 6th. Henry Morse from UC Berkeley finishes 7th. The other UC school, UC Riverside, and Kevin Vu finish 8th. Corey Hyatt from the Colorado School of Mines finishes 9th. In 10th is William Ashworth from UMass Lowell. Abel Osorio Morales from Missouri at Columbia finishes 11th. Alejandro Diaz from UC Berkeley in 12th. Will Krehor, the first of our VCU teams, finishes 13th. And Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University finishes 14th. Alexandre Piccini from Santa Maria Federale Universidad finishes 15th. Andrew Covell from San Jose State finishes 16th. Esteban Moonrose from FIU finishes 17th. And Zachary Yarnigan finishing 18th. So the rest of the field will be across your screen. But Josh, a great race here tonight all across the board, and couldn't ask for anything better here at Road America.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I think we were really entertained, and we're looking forward to what the final 2 races hold. And we're going to keep an eye on the points battle for schools and drivers. Talked about UNC Charlotte going to take the points lead with their performance tonight, both in schools and drivers. Jared Kaler, I believe, will take over the points battle from John Price, who was previously the points leader coming in here. And so that'll be exciting to see as we go through and finish out the season. And then additionally, looking at some more payouts for championship winners and top 10 placements.
Absolutely. So if this is your first time watching, first of all, thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight. I know we had a great crowd on hand for a great race that we had here tonight. And if you're watching this back after the fact as well, thank you just as much, everyone that participated in the chat. Love to see it. Hopefully we kind of got to any of your questions you might have had. And if you didn't, we apologize. We'll do better next week at Imola, should you choose to join us. For all of us up here in the booth, myself and Josh, hope you guys enjoyed this presentation of the Collegiate iRacing League. Next week, we head to Imola, same time, same place. We'll have a 9 p.m. green flag. Not this next week, but the week after. We give each of these drivers 1 week off in between to catch up on schoolwork or whatever else they have to do to get squared away. That's going to do it. Josh, any final thoughts from you?
Not from me. I think we've said everything. Looking forward to Imola. Fantastic race tonight from the drivers and from the start to the finish. Drama, incidents, excitement, close racing, tight passes, lots of gravel and grass flying up. And I think we're going to see more of the same next time.
Absolutely. So hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys join us on again. It's been a pleasure bringing this to you. And until next time, take it easy, everybody, and see you soon.